Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so you know how sometimes you just want the real scoop, like unfiltered?
Yeah, totally.
Well, you pointed us towards this amazing Reddit thread. It was just packed with people sharing their early dating red flags,
Mm.
real stories.
Hmm.
So we thought, let's dive into that. This is basically a shortcut, right, to understanding potential uh, trouble spots when you first start seeing someone. We're going to unpack it all.
Exactly. And what's so great about the source, I think, is that it's authentic. It's not some textbook theory, you know?
Right.
It's those actual moments where people felt, something's a bit off here, that gut feeling.
Yeah, the gut feeling. So our mission here is to help you, our listeners, get better at spotting these things, these patterns, maybe in your own dating life.
Based on what others have actually gone through.
Okay, so let's jump right in. A huge theme, maybe the biggest, was around just behavior and communication,
Mm.
how people act and talk.
Yeah. And it often kicked off with how people talked about themselves.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We saw loads of comments about people like straight away calling themselves names, you
Yeah.
know, oh, I'm such a bitch, or haha, yeah, I'm basically the psycho X.
Right out of the gate. And sometimes maybe making these self-deprecating jokes that don't quite land as jokes.
Yeah, like they're fishing for compliments or maybe
Yeah.
something else.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? What's behind that? On the surface, okay, maybe it's awkward humor, but like some people in the thread pointed out, there's often more to it.
Hmm.
When someone keeps bringing up their own supposed flaws, especially negative ones, early on, well, you got to pay attention.
Like, why tell me this now?
Exactly. It could be a way to lower expectations, maybe, or even sort of testing the waters, seeing how much negativity you'll put up with.
It totally reminds me of that classic line, you know,
Yeah.
if you can't handle me at my worst.
Ugh, that one.
Yeah. Someone in the thread had the best comeback. They said something like, look, this is the interview stage. I haven't even decided if there's a worst I want to deal with yet.
That's perfect. It really highlights that, you're not obligated to sign up for someone's drama right at the start.
No.
And that phrase, it can be such a cop-out, right? It kind of deflects any responsibility for their own bad behavior.
Yeah, like, this is me, take it or leave it, even the bad parts, I don't plan on fixing.
Precisely. It implies you have to, earn their best by just passively accepting their worst. It sets a really weird tone.
Okay, so shifting gears a little, but still related. Boundaries and control. That was another huge cluster of red flags.
Oh, definitely. Big one.
This went from maybe pushing things too fast physically or asking super personal questions way too early
Yeah, getting a bit too familiar too quickly.
to stuff that felt more controlling, like constantly needing to know what you're doing. One person shared how their date would comment on everything they ate and always needed their exact location.
That doesn't sound like simple curiosity, does it?
No, it sounds, well, intense and not in a good way.
Right. That kind of monitoring behavior, especially early on, can really signal a lack of respect for your personal space, your autonomy.
Yeah.
Healthy relationships, they need space to grow, right? At a pace that feels good for both people. When someone's trying to watch your every move, or worse, dictate your choices right at the beginning, well, that could point to insecurity, possessiveness.
Or potentially something more controlling down the road.
That's often the concern, yeah. It's a pattern to watch.
And we saw some really extreme examples too, like intense jealousy, even directed at family members.
Yeah, wow.
And accusations just coming out of left field. There was one story that really stuck with me. Someone whose new partner got suspicious every time their phone rang, even if it was their parents calling, just accusing them constantly.
That level of suspicion with absolutely no reason, where does that even come from so early?
I know.
It usually points back to the person themselves, right?
Yes.
Their own issues, maybe past baggage, maybe deep insecurities,
Yeah.
or like someone in the thread smartly said, maybe they're projecting their own untrustworthy behavior onto you.
Ooh, that's a chilling thought.
It makes it almost impossible to build any real trust, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're starting from a deficit.
Yeah.
Okay, then there's the whole area of, well, plain old dishonesty and manipulation. Huge red flags here, obviously.
The classics.
Like bragging about cheating in past relationships, that came up more than once.
Yeah.
I mean, why? Why would you brag about that on a date?
It's baffling, isn't it? It shows such a lack of empathy, first off, and just a total disregard for how much cheating hurts someone.
Right.
And like people pointed out, if someone's cheated before, especially if they talk about it casually or brag, it often suggests it's a pattern, not just a one-off mistake. It's a massive breach of trust, even just bringing it up like that.
Yeah, it tells you something about their values or
Yeah.
lack thereof. We also saw comments about people who just tell you what they think you want to hear,
Yeah.
placating, you know.
The people pleasing to avoid conflict.
Exactly. And one person described finding that out later, realizing the whole start was built on not lies exactly, but not honesty either. They said it felt like a huge betrayal.
I can see that. Because while nobody loves conflict, if someone always avoids it by just agreeing or saying the right thing,
Yeah.
then nothing real is getting discussed.
Exactly. No real issues get tackled. You can't build genuine intimacy like that. It just creates this shallow connection where nobody's actually saying what they feel or need.
And then, of course, the things most of us have probably run into. Playing head games, being super flaky with plans, or the ultimate disappearing act, ghosting.
Oh, ghosting.
It's just such a lack of respect, isn't it? For someone's time, their feelings.
It really is. It shows a lack of consideration, maybe maturity too. Just avoiding any kind of direct, honest communication and leaving the other person hanging, confused, devalued.
Yeah, not cool. Okay, another big one that resonated with a lot of people was just disrespectful behavior in general.
How they treat others.
Exactly. Especially people like servers, bartenders, anyone in a service role. Or even just talking badly about strangers. Someone shared they ignored this kind of thing with an ex and regretted it for years. That old saying, right? Watch how someone treats the waiter. It's such a good indicator of character.
It really is.
How they interact with people they maybe see as below them or who can't do anything for them, that often shows you their true colors, their level of empathy, of basic respect. It's not just about being nice to you.
Right. It's about being decent, period.
Yeah.
Across the board.
And related to that, we saw flags like constantly interrupting you, talking over you, dodging simple questions.
Oh, the question dodge, Eric.
Yeah, and just generally entitled behavior on dates. Things like, I don't know, expecting you to pay without even discussing it, or literally taking food off your plate without asking.
Wow. That happens.
Apparently. It sounds like some dates felt less like getting to know someone and more like navigating a minefield of bad manners.
Yeah, those are all signs of just basic lack of courtesy, aren't they?
Oh.
Self-centeredness,
Yeah.
disregard for your comfort, your preferences. It hints at an imbalance right from the start. Totally. Then there's the person who seems to have zero self-awareness, the one who always blames everyone else for everything that goes wrong in their life.
Ah, the perpetual victim.
Yeah. There was this one story. Someone was telling a date about this horrific hazing incident from their college days, but they told it like it was this hilarious party story, completely oblivious to how disturbing it sounded.
Oof, that's a big one. That shows a real lack of empathy, doesn't it? And an inability to see things from another perspective or recognize their own problematic behavior.
Definitely.
When someone constantly pushes blame outwards and never seems to see their own part in, well, anything negative, it signals immaturity. And probably an unwillingness to take responsibility within a relationship, too.
Good point. Okay, we also have to talk about that rushed intensity, sometimes called love bombing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Too much too soon.
Exactly. Saying I love you after like 2 dates. Wanting to meet your entire family immediately. Starting to plan your future together when you barely know each other's middle names.
Calling your cat our baby on week 3.
Yes. Why is it such a common red flag? It seems nice on the surface, maybe.
Well, it often feels overwhelming, right? And it usually comes from a place of insecurity, maybe, or this need to lock things down super fast, creating this intense bond before there's actually, a real foundation.
Like building a house on sand?
Yeah. And sometimes, unfortunately, it can even be a manipulation tactic, get you emotionally hooked, dependent really quickly.
Okay. Distrust and paranoia also came up again, separate from the earlier jealousy point. Just unfounded accusations of cheating, constant suspicion for no reason.
Yeah, needing constant reassurance even when nothing has happened.
That sounds exhausting.
It absolutely is. It just wears down trust, creates this atmosphere of anxiety, defensiveness. Like you said before, it often says more about the accuser's own issues than anything you're actually doing. Really damaging.
And let's not forget the really obvious one. Sending unsolicited, inappropriate pictures or messages way, way too early.
Yeah, there's really no gray area there, is there?
Nope. Just
Yeah,
no.
it's a total violation of boundaries, consent, respect. Simple as that. Putting their own desires way ahead of establishing any kind of decent human connection.
Okay, then there's controlling behavior that goes beyond just jealousy. Things like criticizing what you wear early on.
Ooh, subtle digs about your appearance.
Yeah. Or trying to isolate you from your friends.
Yeah.
Constantly demanding to know where you are, who you're with, even asking you to unfollow people on social media.
Wow. That's escalating quickly.
These feel like serious power plays, don't they?
They absolutely are. They're all about establishing control, limiting your independence, your autonomy. They can definitely be warning signs for more serious manipulation or even abuse later. Really important to spot early.
Definitely. And related. Just a general disregard for your boundaries in your independent life.
Like pressuring you to ditch plans you already had?
Yeah, like if you have school or work commitments, or showing like zero personal goals or drive themselves,
Mhm.
or trying to instantly become part of every single aspect of your life.
Inserting themselves everywhere
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah. It shows a lack of respect for you as an individual, with your own life already in progress.
Absolutely. A healthy relationship is, two whole people coming together, complementing each other's lives, not one person trying to absorb the other.
Wow.
Disregarding your commitments or trying to merge instantly like that, it disrespects your individuality, your time.
Okay, and then there's the classic. The person who talks endless trash about all their exes. Every single one was crazy or awful.
Ah, the all my exes are crazy narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? Did they ever stop to think about their own role in why none of those relationships worked out?
Exactly. Look, past relationships can be messy, sure. But if every single one ended because the other person was supposedly terrible, it usually points to a serious lack of self-reflection and unwillingness to take any responsibility at all.
Good point. What about social media? Overly frequent posts about a brand new relationship. Some people flag that.
Yeah, that came up. It can feel a bit performative
Like
sometimes.
they need everyone else to see it.
Yeah. It can indicate a need for external validation, yeah. Focusing more on broadcasting the relationship than actually, building the connection between the two of you privately.
Okay, this one might sound strange, but getting bombarded with excessive compliments right at the start, that was mentioned too.
Yeah, too many compliments. Seems counterintuitive, maybe.
Right. Like, isn't that nice?
Mm,
But it can feel overwhelming, maybe even insincere.
it can. Sometimes that flood of compliments is another form of love bombing, maybe? A tactic to win you over fast, put you on this pedestal.
Which isn't realistic.
Exactly. It stops you from forming a real connection based on seeing each other, well, realistically. Flaws and all.
Okay, getting through the list here. What about passive-aggressive behavior?
Oh, yeah. Getting upset but not saying why, expecting you to read their mind.
So frustrating. Or being constantly glued to their phone when you're actually together.
Major pet peeve for many. Shows where their priorities are, doesn't it?
Totally. Demanding way too much, way too soon. Like the wild example someone gave of a date asking about building a house on their property after just a few meetings.
Whoa. Okay, that's extreme.
Right. Or just a total lack of give and take. Never initiating calls or texts, never making plans.
The relationship requires you to do all the work.
Yeah. And an inability to compromise. It's always their way, their schedule, their needs first.
All those things, they really paint a picture, don't they? Lack of consideration, maturity, respect for you and your needs. Healthy relationships need that mutual effort, that compromise.
They really do. Even smaller things, maybe. Like making a fuss if you offer to pay your share on a date.
Yeah, like overriding your preference.
Or using overly familiar pet names like sweetheart or honey on the first date.
Can feel a bit presumptive, right? Earn intimacy.
Or brushing off rude comments with, oh, I just don't have a filter.
The no filter excuse for being inconsiderate.
Yeah. Those little things, they can be hints of bigger issues, maybe. Disregard for your comfort, entitlement, refusing to own their words.
Precisely. Little clues.
And finally, the really blatant one. Someone who is just clearly trying to use you or take advantage,
Like that example from the thread, the date who ordered all the most expensive stuff.
and then just expected the other person to pick up the entire massive tab.
Yeah, that's not a date. That's exploitation. Just using someone.
Totally. It shows zero respect, just this transactional view of things, big flashing red light for potentially exploitative behavior.
Absolutely.
So wow, that was a lot. As you can hear, diving into these real stories, these firsthand accounts, it gives us this incredibly rich picture of potential early warning signs in dating.
It really does. And it's important to remember, like you said, maybe one instance of something is just a misunderstanding, an off day. We're all human.
Right.
But a pattern of these behaviors, that's what warrants real attention, careful consideration.
Yeah, seeing these patterns early, it can genuinely save you from getting deeper into something unhealthy, save you a lot of heartache, wasted time, wasted energy.
It really boils down to paying attention to the overall picture of how someone acts consistently and also how you feel when you're with them.
That's key, isn't it? Trusting your gut, your intuition. If something feels off,
It probably is off, or at least worth investigating further.
Your well-being, your emotional safety in dating, that has to be the priority. Always.
Which leads to a really interesting final thought for everyone listening. Thinking about all these shared experiences we just discussed, what subtle behaviors might you pay closer attention to now in your own early dating interactions?
Good question.
And maybe how do you find that balance between being cautious, aware of these flags, but also staying open-minded, open to connection? How do you protect yourself without building walls?
Yeah, and maybe also being aware of the signals we might be sending out too, right? It's about self-awareness on both sides.
Exactly. It's this ongoing process, isn't it? Learning, reflecting, becoming more aware as you navigate the sometimes tricky world of relationships.